Hey everyone, it's Pam, and I'm here with my very late monthly update video letting you know everything that I was up to in the month of March. Starting out with updates, I did do a brief cameo on a podcast this past month. I wasn't an actual guest on it, but my friends over at RFGeneration, the Playcast podcast, they talked about Bayonetta, and they just wanted to get my opinion on Bayonetta as a character, so I recorded a little segment for them, sort of about how her character can be both fan servicey and empowering at the same time. It's just a short 5-minute clip, but the rest of the episode is also pretty good, so go check out the RFGeneration Playcast's Bayonetta episode if you want to hear about that. It was another good month in terms of views. The long-awaited Bloodlines 2 sequel was finally officially announced, and even though I don't generally cover news and that kind of stuff, I was so excited about it that I made a video just collecting all the information that I had found in it sort of in that first day after it had been released, and it also did really well for me. A lot of people found it and got a lot more subscribers last month, so I'm very excited that the channel is growing and all my videos overall are getting seen more. Welcome, new subscribers, if you're new here, and yeah, thanks for joining me. My shout out for this month is LT Showcase, also known as Lucius T. He's got a great channel that covers a wide variety of games in a very informative and amusing way. He covers new games and retro games and sort of everything in between. In the last few months, he's done everything from newer games like Below to things like Until Dawn. He's done Revenge of Shinobi and one of my favorite games, Star Tropics. He's also got some pretty cool series. One is called Hated Gems, where he replays a game that he didn't like growing up and sees how it holds up now. And then he's also got another one called Noob Gamer, where he takes his wife and makes her play classic games like Punch-Out. He also sometimes brings on his brother for that, just taking someone who didn't grow up with these games and getting them to play them for our amusement. Check out his channel, it's very entertaining and very funny. That's LT Showcase or Lucius T. So I've got just a few pickups this month. First of all is just a little bit of a replacement. If you remember in my Sega CD collection video, my copy of Bram Stoker's Dracula, the cover was just the front cover. Someone had cut it off the manual. So one of the guys from the RFGeneration forums saw the video and offered to send me his spare manual that he had lying around, which was very, very nice. So thank you very much, Dougley. I now have a much nicer manual that actually has pages in it for this game. Also picked up one NES game last month, and that's Jackie Chan's Action Kung Fu. From what I know, this is a short action platformer, which is just the kind of game I like on NES. I would like to review this sooner rather than later, so look forward to that. I also picked up one more soundtrack. Last month, I believe, I talked about getting the Bastion soundtrack, which is one of my favorites. As soon as I got that, I immediately regretted not also getting the Transistor soundtrack, which is also fantastic. So I went back and got that. It would have been much more economical to get them at the same time and save on shipping to Canada, which is a lot of money, but I'm a silly girl and I didn't do that. It's a great double vinyl. It's got beautiful artwork. I really like that on the inside cover here they've got the lyrics to all of the songs with lyrics. I always liked, like way back in the day when I bought CDs, when the little booklet would include the lyrics of the song. So I actually think this is kind of taking over Bastion as my favorite gaming soundtrack ever. I've listened to it a lot since I got it, and it's just beautiful. All the super massive. I always do this. I think it's super giant. Yes, it is. Super giant games have beautiful, beautiful music as well as beautiful art. Also, just to make the most of the fact that I was going to have to pay for shipping again, I also bought a Bastion t-shirt, which you can see right here. It's got the kid on it, and then his little profile here. It's a very nice print, though sadly it only came in unisex, which means it doesn't really fit me, as I like my t-shirts to fit me, but it's still nice. I really like that it's got this kind of like clay color rather than like just white, which I probably wouldn't wear. So yeah, that's it for pickups this month. In terms of what I've been playing, I finished or attempted to finish a number of games last month. The first was Crackdown 3. I had never played a Crackdown 3 game before. I know that it had been delayed over and over and over again. It finally came out, and while it isn't something that I would probably have bought, it was free on Xbox Game Pass, so I downloaded it and played through the whole thing in a couple days. It got sort of mediocre reviews, which I can kind of see, but I found it just very fun. Like, it's kind of just like mindless fun, cool guns, lots of like superhero kind of moves. There's lots of, you know, just going around hunting for orbs to get you stronger, and some humorous kind of dialogue and story in the background. To be completely honest, everything that Crackdown 3 did was done better and funnier by Saints Row 4. But I've already played Saints Row 4 a few times, so Crackdown did sort of scratch that itch for sort of mindless, zany fun. Nothing too challenging, just like a nice game that you could relax with at the end of the day, and didn't take too long. So overall, I liked it. It didn't really do anything new, push the genre forward in any way, but not every game has to, and I enjoyed my time with it. Also, with Metro Exodus coming out recently, I wanted to play Metro Last Light. I had previously played Metro 2033, and I really enjoyed that. It's a first-person shooter with a very sort of grim, dark atmosphere. You're going through a lot of subway tunnels because humanity has made their home there after the Earth has been nuked and irradiated and is now crawling with monsters. The Last Light was pretty similar to the first game. I don't think I liked it quite as much. There seemed to be a lot of more kind of scripted stealth sections, which I didn't love. One thing I really liked about 2033 was that a lot of the game you had a partner for. So you like had a sidekick, you'd walk through the tunnels together, there would be some banter and some dialogue, and also someone to help you fight the enemies. In this game, it did happen a couple times that you had someone else with you, but not as much, I found. Yeah, it just, like, it was still a very similar game, but it didn't quite appeal to me as much as 2033. And I'm also kind of considering whether I really want to play Exodus. I know Exodus brings you out from the subway tracks and puts you more into a bigger open world, and those are actually my least favorite parts of the game, where you're outside as opposed to in those claustrophobic dark tunnels. So yeah, you know, Exodus might be one I pick up far down the line, but it's sort of rolled back in terms of my priority for picking it up to play it. I mentioned last time, I think, that I had been playing Sunless Skies, which is the follow-up to Sunless Seas by Fail Better Games. It's also in the same world as Fallen London, which is an older browser-based game. I finished the game, which is very exciting, because with Sunless Seas, I never even quite knew exactly what I had to do to finish the game, so this one automatically was better because it was a little more clear what you were supposed to be doing. It had a huge improvement over Seas in that the journal system was much better. It was much easier to keep track of what people had asked you to do and your various quests and inventory and how you could move the story forward. I felt it was a little bit nebulous and not very well tracked in Sunless Seas. The writing is really the draw here. It's amazing. It's just you sort of sail, or not sail, I guess, fly from port to port in your train locomotive, and the story is that, I mean, I think you're actually in hell in the game based on all the things you come across, but London has moved out into space. So you're basically traveling around space, going from port to port. You're seeing all these kind of, steampunk kind of aesthetics, but it also talks a lot about how in London's attempt to go and expand, it's not always a good thing. Like, it's not always like, oh yeah, London, we're taking over everything and that's great, yay colonialism. It sort of criticizes that and confronts that in a cool way. And the stories are just so good. You get people who join your ship, like you get a navigator and an engineer, and they have their own stories and their own quests to do to push them forward, and it's just really good. Like, all the stories are just very creepy. Like, there's this sort of creeping dread sense as you open up these stories more, because everything ends up being really kind of twisted. Like, it looks nice and pretty on the outside, but it's actually quite dark. So I really loved it. I thought the writing was great. Sometimes it does get a little slow moving once you've sort of explored the whole map that you have available to you. Traveling from point to point after that does seem a little excessive, and I wish there was a way to like fast travel or something after a certain point. But it's really the writing and those stories that is the draw of the game, and all of those were really great. I also finished up with Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire. Pillars of Eternity 1, which I believe came out in 2016, I named my game of the year, which, thinking about that now, it probably wouldn't be my favorite. It just represented a sort of return of the computer role-playing game, which has always been one of my favorite genres. And with Pillars of Eternity 2, they took the first game and just improved upon it in every way. It's full of fantastic voice acting. A lot of the people from Critical Role are actually voices in it. Matt Mercer is one of your companions. You have a pirate ship. You're basically in this place called the Deadfire, which is sort of like the Caribbean, and you're going from island to island, and you can fight other pirate ships. I never really got a hang of the ship-to-ship combat, so I would always just like ram them and jump on and fight them hand to hand. But that was really great. You get to see all these different locales and meet all these people and hear about all the different competing politics and factions of the land and get to take your sides. And it's got this big epic story about the gods where you're trying to sort of not really mediate between them, but you are acting on behalf of one of them, but you don't necessarily have to listen to them. It's just really, really good. If you like computer role-playing games, this has got some fantastic writing, fantastic voice acting. One of the big draws for me was that they added a turn-based combat mode, because originally it was just the real-time pausable combat, which I didn't like. I found it was just way too much going on at once. But once they add the turn-based, I immediately bought the game and I enjoyed it a lot. All the spells and different abilities are very cool. The companion quests are great, and overall it was just really fantastic. It's up there with Divinity Original Sin 2 in terms of newer CRPGs. So yes, if you like that genre at all, I definitely recommend it. And the last thing I've been playing a lot of, but I think I'm going to give up on it. Fatal Frame 2 has always been one of my favorite horror games, so I thought I would go back and see what the original Fatal Frame was like, and it's very, very similar. It looks the same, the protagonist is similar, you're uncovering the same kind of story about rituals and people dying, and you're fighting the ghosts with your camera obscura. I just found the combat is less good, I guess, in this game. I don't know if it's just like rose-tinted glasses in terms of Fatal Frame 2, but in this one I'm finding that as you're fighting the ghosts, they'll appear and then they'll disappear and then they'll reappear behind you. And the controls aren't such that it's super easy to get around and like maneuver yourself. There is a button that will let you do a 180-degree turn, but I'm just finding it's all very close quarters, and when a ghost disappears and reappears, I rarely have enough time to reorient myself and get my camera back up before they have attacked me again. So I've kind of gotten myself stuck in a place where I've used all of my health restoration items, and I have two back-to-back fairly difficult fights, and I just haven't been able to get them done and kill those ghosts. So I'm feeling a little stuck and a little defeated. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'm ever actually going to end up finishing Fatal Frame 1, but I have put a number of hours into it, and I think I'm about 2/3 of the way through the game right now. So that's it for this update video. Let me know in the comments if there's anything exceptionally exciting that you've been playing that you want to share with me, any cool pickups that you've gotten. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.